Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, Governors, distinguished guests joining us here in Riga, and those of you joining us online, a very warm welcome to the 35th annual meeting of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. My name is Richard Porter. I'm the Managing Director of Communications here at the bank, and it's a real pleasure to have all of you here at the Delević Theatre here in Riga for this opening session of our Board of Governors. Indeed, we're delighted to be back in Latvia, having hosted us first in the year 2000 in one of the bank's early annual meetings. Much has changed here in Riga, obviously, during that time, but as before, we will have a packed programme of institutional events alongside our business forum and our gathering of donors. Where else would you be able to hear from royalty, presidents, a prime minister, many ministers, plus an astronaut and a unicorn in one weekend? So, in a moment, we'll proceed with the institutional section run by the Chair of the Governors and the EBRD President. We will also hear from the President of Latvia, our guest of honour representing our host, and we'll have a conversation with our special guest, Her Majesty Queen Máxima of the Netherlands. And our hosts have prepared a cultural performance for the end, which I promise will be a very exciting finale, so please stay for that. And for those of you in the auditorium, there will be a reception immediately afterwards in the foyer outside. So before we begin with the formal part of the event, we're going to just take a moment to highlight some examples of the bank's work across our regions. And we're going to start here, obviously, in Latvia, where, much like in the other Baltic states, the economy has been rapidly adapting to the world around us, showing versatility at a time of volatility. So one example is with energy security, investing in renewables and strengthening connections with the European grid. And with EBRD support, the electricity network is being upgraded. So let's hear about that.
Synchronization is the most important energy independence project for the Baltic countries. It makes us fully independent from Russian and Belarusian grids, and at the same time, fully integrates us with European systems, economically, politically, and technologically. The investments done, like new power lines, helps us to connect new renewable energy generation to our network. The synchronous condensers and battery systems helps us stabilize the system during the high penetration of renewable energy sources.
So events can move very quickly, and quickly we respond. We're seeing crisis conditions in many of our countries at the moment, and at times like these, access to finance can be severely constrained, which is where we come in. In Lebanon, a targeted program is helping bridge the financing gap, making it possible for companies to invest again. And that includes one of the oldest food manufacturers in the country.
Operating in an environment of uncertainty affects everything. But what kept us going was staying focused on what we can control. The support we got by modernizing our equipment helped us handle the pressure. Being operationally stronger gives you more stability, even when the external environment is difficult.
And our experience travels too. What we've learned in one context can help unlock progress in another, including in our newest region of investment, Sub-Saharan Africa. In Benin, that means helping to innovate, for example, by modernizing waste management, moving from simple disposal to recycling at scale.
This project will help us turn waste into resources. And with that, it will create a lot of new opportunities for men and women that work on a daily basis in the waste management industry. The Beninese government has made a lot of effort, a lot of investment to make our cities cleaner and healthier. But with this project, we are going to a whole new level.
So finally, we turn back to Europe and to Ukraine. It's been, of course, another deeply difficult year for those living there, with a long, harsh winter, the backdrop to continuing military aggression, but one that also showed the strength of the human spirit and the capacity to fight back. The EBRD has supported Ukraine's economy throughout, and we wanted to offer a glimpse of life there, a close human perspective about the everyday and what it takes to keep going.
Ця зима була найхолодніша з усіх. Найтемніша з усіх. Між відключеннями я заряджаю телефон. Раптом він зателефонує. Чуєш сирену? Ховайся.
Увага! Повітряна тривога. Пройдіть найближче укриття.
Давай, Софіка, нам треба йти. У будівлі темно. Та ми це вже проходили.
Увага! Відбій повітряної тривоги.
Нарешті, кінець атаки. На дворі вже все ремонтують. Доброго ранку! Знову ремонтуєте? Коли буде світло?
Так, після нічної атаки роботи ще більше. Ні кінця, ні краю. Ми відновлюємо, а вони руйнують. Але ви не хвилюйтесь. Світло буде.
Вони не обіцяють чудес. Не можуть. Можуть лише не зупинятися. Нарешті настає весна. Світ не змінився. Та дихати стало легше.
Поглянь, у Сашка нарешті власний візок.
Тобі зручно?
Дивись, що в мене є. О, вау! Хочеш подарую? Клас, дякую.
Так, і він росте разом з нами, уявляєш? Тепер ми просто його підкручуємо, а не купуємо новий.
Це чудово. Тоді зустрінемось. Такі дрібнички роблять життя легшим. Коли вона фантазує, їй стає легше. І на мить день стає світлішим.
Good morning, Tanya. How did you get on with your vocabulary exercises?
Good morning. Okay, but some were a little tricky. Я вчуся, бо життя має тривати. Перемоги здаються незначними. Але ми радіємо дрібницям.
Тату!
Thank you. Thank you. A powerful portrayal, I think you'll agree, of the real impact behind everything we do. And just to say, the film was produced and directed by the communications team, but was filmed by a Ukrainian crew on location in Kyiv. And like everyday life there, filming was punctuated by air alerts and interruptions, but they all show great resilience and humanity. So thank you for that. Okay, we're now going to move on to the formal part of the meeting, and actually we just need to bring some chairs on, so I think we're ready to do that. I'll just get out of the way because we need to make some space. Okay, just bear with us for a few seconds while we sort this out, and then I'll introduce our speakers. Okay, very nearly ready, I think. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so as I say, let's begin the formal part of this meeting. And I would like to invite to the stage now the President of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Odile Renaud-Basso. The Chair of the EBRD Board of Governors, European Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis. Here. And finally, His Excellency Edgars Rinkēvičs, President of Latvia. Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Dear governors, I would like to warmly welcome you all to the Delević Theatre. It is my great pleasure and honor to call the 2026 annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development to order and formally declare the meeting open. The agenda and the provisions related to the conduct of this annual meeting had been circulated to all governors, and I hereby declare those to be approved. And without further ado, I have an honor to inviting President Rinkēvičs to address the meeting.
That was quick. Your Majesty, President, Prime Minister, Commissioner, dear Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends, first of all, welcome to Riga. We are very happy to host all of you for the annual meeting of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And I'm especially grateful to Her Majesty Queen Máxima of the Netherlands for joining us here today. The last meeting in Riga took place 26 years ago, in the year of 2000. At that time, the bank was different. And my country, Latvia, was a different country too. Both EBRD and Latvia has grown in scale and impact. Latvia has changed significantly. Now we are a member state of the European Union, NATO, and OECD. We have strengthened our economy. We have modernized our institutions. We have built a strong voice internationally. We have learned and improved to become a strong and reliable partner. Our economy has been transformed. Productivity and innovations drive economic growth today. Our financial sector also changed. It has become more transparent. It has become more resilient. It has become more aligned with the highest international standards. The global world order has changed as well. In 2000, our primary challenge was integration into European and transatlantic structures. Today, unfortunately, we face geopolitical instability, energy insecurity, economic fragmentation, and hybrid threats. Yet, one thing has not changed. We do not face these challenges alone. We face them together, with trusted friends, reliable partners, and institutions that share common values. For Latvia, partnership with the EBRD means far more than economics and investment. It represents trust and stability. For today's meeting, for this year's meeting, you have chosen the theme volatile to versatile. And I think this is especially relevant for the eastern part of Europe. The region continues to stand up for democratic values. EBRD plays a key role in enabling investment in the region. The bank's unwavering support for Ukraine, sustained through their fight, is greatly valued. Dear guests, priorities ahead are clear. Our eastern border region needs support and attention. Our critical infrastructure faces growing hybrid and cyber threats. In the fast-moving and highly competitive world, we cannot afford to fall behind on innovation. EBRD must play a crucial role in addressing these challenges. Therefore, 26 years from now, let us meet again in Riga to look back on everything we will have built side by side. I'm not sure that I'm going to be here. Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for being here in beautiful city of Riga. I thank everyone involved in organizing this large event, and I wish all of you productive discussions with meaningful results. Thank you.
Thank you, President. And I would like now to address all of you in my capacity as a chair of the Board of Governors. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, President Rinkēvičs, President Renaud-Basso, Honorable Governors, distinguished guests, Dāmas un kungi, Excellences, man ir patiesa gods un liels prieks jūs visus sveikt manā dzimtajā pilsētā Rīgā ikgadējā Eiropas Rekonstrukcijas un attīstības bankas sanāksmē. It is a great privilege for me to welcome you to Riga for this year's annual meeting of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. I do so wearing several hats. First and foremost, as a chair of the Board of Governors, as the European Union's governor to the EBRD and the European Commissioner for Economy, but also very personally as a former finance minister and prime minister of this country and Latvia's former governor to the EBRD. To chair the Board of Governors here in my home city is an enormous honor. I thank you all for making the journey to be here. And the Latvian authorities, I thank for their warm welcome. Since Latvia last hosted the EBRD annual meeting in the year 2000, it has made remarkable progress. Today, it meets new challenges with the resilience and confidence of a proud and modern EU member state. The EBRD has played an important role in this transition. There could be no more fitting place to meet at the time when the bank's role is both needed and more consequential than ever. Indeed, Latvia's experience showcases the fruits of what EBRD has designed to deliver, turning reform ambition into economic reality. It does so by connecting regions, mobilizing capital for business, providing policy advice for governments, and working with international partners such as the European Union. Let me welcome and thank the EBRD's President. Odile, we meet regularly in Brussels, London, and Washington, D.C., but this is the first time we meet here in Riga. I would like to congratulate you and your team for outstanding results in 2025 and of the great success of the bank's third capital increase. A 95% take-up sends a strong signal of shareholder confidence in the EBRD's mission. The figures also speak to themselves. Last year, the EBRD made a record level of investment with 16.8 billion financing, 640 projects across all regions. Three-quarters of this supported the private sector in line with the core focus of the bank's mandate. Equally impressive is the bank's ability not only to invest from its own balance sheet, but also to mobilize other actors. These record results were delivered in a challenging context, marked by Russia's continued war of aggression against Ukraine, geopolitical fragmentation, market volatility, and persistent uncertainty. They reflect the bank's dedication to its mission, disciplined strategy, and the exceptional commitment of its staff. On behalf of all of the governments, I want to express our deep appreciation of this achievement. A defining feature of the EBRD's 2025 performance and the clearest expression of our values has been its sustained support for Ukraine, a country which is now in its 5th year of fighting for its very survival. The EBRD has stood by Ukraine. In 2025 alone, the bank invested 2.9 billion euros to support its energy security, transport and municipal infrastructure, and its private sector. Donors have played a key role in this support with over 859 million euros in grants directed to Ukraine. And I'm proud to say that more than half of this has been provided by the EU. This assistance has helped keep the economy functioning under the most difficult circumstances. The EU remains Ukraine's largest international supporter, having already provided over 200 billion euros, and with further 90 billion euros on the way for 2026 and 27. We know that supporting Ukraine is not only an expression of solidarity, it is a strategic investment in the future of Ukraine and Europe. The bank's work in Ukraine and assisting other countries on their path towards joining the EU remains indispensable. More broadly, the EBRD continued to deliver across the 3 continents it now operates in, from Central and Eastern Europe to Central Asia and North Africa. But 2025 was also a year of strategic expansion, with the EBRD making its first ever investments in sub-Saharan Africa and launching operations in Iraq. This reflects the confidence of shareholders in the bank's model and its ability to deliver impact in new markets. Its gradual and targeted expansion outside the EU has not diminished its important role within it. Its investments of almost 4 billion euros across 11 EU countries in 2025 underline the bank's relevance, additionality, and continued potential for engagement in these now advanced economies. Distinguished guests, dear friends, the EBRD was created to support countries choosing cooperation over conflict, markets over monopolies, and reform over stagnation. But above all, its unique political mandate makes the bank a vital force for promoting democracy, the rule of law, and pluralism in the increasingly challenging world. The EBRD is a powerful testament to the fact that by working together, we are greater than the sum of our parts. Multilateralism works when it delivers, and the EBRD delivers. With that, I wish you all a very productive annual meeting and an enjoyable stay in our beautiful city, Riga. Thank you. And now I have the pleasure of inviting President Renaud-Basso to address the meeting.
Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, Governors, colleagues, friends, welcome to Riga, a city so elegant it has been nicknamed the Paris of the North. No wonder I feel so at home here. Latvia is the perfect host for our annual meeting and the topic we will focus on. Together with Estonia and Lithuania, it has been one of the shining stars of transition from centralized to market economies and of EU enlargement. All three countries are blessed with thriving startups, highly digital, and keen adopters of fintech. In fact, more than much of the rest of Europe. Such talent and adaptation and innovation has not wavered in times of crisis. For years, their dependency on Russia for gas and electricity threatened their security. But when it mattered most, after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the three countries fully connected to the EU's grid. And they accelerated investment in green energy. They transformed historical weakness into a source of new resilience. That is a lesson we should all take note of. Today, we are in the grip of a new shock. This one started in the energy sector, but is already hurting the global economy. It is disrupting trade, forcing up the cost of many commodities beyond energy and imperiling food security. Inflation and interest rates are increasing. Government's fiscal space is tightening. When and how this will end, we cannot guess. But its scale, scope, and speed underline how volatile our world has become. Indeed, I would even go further. The times our regions and many others are living through have gone from volatile to turbulent. And all this on top of many other fundamental shifts. One, the coming of AI, with the major opportunities and risks it brings. Today, I want to focus on what I see as the three main challenges now confronting the EBRD, and to spell out how we deal with each one. The first challenge is, no surprises, to help our countries respond to conflict and the resulting crisis. Here, we can call on the strengths we share with all multilateral development banks. When other lenders pull back, we scale up, as we've done in Ukraine. While safeguarding our financial strengths and carefully managing risk, we continue to invest. We deliver impact that cuts across whole economies, and we do so for the long term. All this informs our response to what has been happening in the Middle East. In Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, and the West Bank and Gaza, as well as neighboring countries affected by the conflict, we will support economic activity. And we will support private sector and state-owned enterprise, providing liquidity and stabilizing the financial sector. In the long term, we will also lay the foundations for growth and sustainable recovery. These are principles we have already put in practice in Ukraine. Support for the country remains at the core of what we do. We are its #1 institutional investor. We have leaned in, increased, not decreased investment, deploying 10 billion euros since Russia launched its full-scale war. Those facts and figures tell some of the story. But that story must also include the almost 50,000 firms affected by the war who have benefited from our support over the last 4 years. It is also about the more than 22 million Ukrainians, more than half the population, helped by our investments in energy security and infrastructure, as you saw in the video earlier. We will be at the forefront of international efforts to rebuild the country when the time comes, and it will. Our second challenge is to uphold the values of international cooperation and partnership in our work. On a recent trip to Chernobyl, my seventh to Ukraine since the war began, I saw with my own eyes an inspiring monument to such cooperation. The new safe confinement shields the destroyed reactor. It is a miracle of modern engineering. We led the world's largest ever joint effort on nuclear safety, funding its construction. After last year's Russian drone strike, however, the international community needs to finance urgent repairs. Thank you, those who have already come forward to commit funds. This is only one of many areas where our members contribute together to global public goods. The overwhelming majority of shareholders who subscribed to our capital increase, as well as our donors' generosity, are impressive illustrations of a commitment to working together. But we now live in a world of declining development aid and mounting sovereign debt. Given that, partnering with the private sector becomes even more important. Last month's launch of our first significant risk transfer is a taste of more to come. It allows us to share investments and risk with pension funds and insurers, building on long-term interest in emerging markets. The world economy is becoming more fragmented. We can all see this. We hear and note our shareholders' concerns about value chains, cybersecurity, and fair competition. Our revised procurement rules address them, while continuing to promote transparent, open market economies. The third and final main challenge is, when confronted to turbulence today, not to lose sight of the long term. That means continuing to support our country's transformation and delivering effectively as a bank. Amidst the turbulence, we see opportunities for our region. For example, Central Asia's and the Caucasus' ability to connect East and West, Asia and Europe, via the Middle Corridor is more important geopolitically than ever. Another example, diversification of supply has become a strategic priority, creating opportunities for our countries to move up the value chain. Many of our countries of operation are blessed with abundant sunshine and wind, giving them potential to enhance energy security and to become more competitive. The last time we met in London, you, our shareholders, approved an ambitious plan for our work over the next 5 years. This plan has been translated into 3 concrete strategies approved by the board. And I want to thank our board members for their constructive engagement and continued commitment. We have clear guidance as to what you expect. And we are now turning your priorities into projects and projects into impact. Thanks to our exceptional staff, we are being even more versatile in what we do and how we do it. We will implement our new and strengthened strategy to green investment and to our vital work on human capital and gender equality. And importantly, mobilizing private funds and speeding up digitalization. But I will focus on one, economic governance, always core to our mandate, but now more important than ever. We already see its potential for accelerating market reform across economies as a whole, and for helping our regions enjoy a new era of innovation and opportunity. These are the 3 main challenges I see for the times we live in: responding to conflict and crisis, upholding international cooperation, and looking to the long term. To build a better future, we can call on the bank's pioneering spirit and our staff's dedication. Since we last met, we have launched operations in Benin, Côte d'Ivoire, Kenya, Nigeria, Senegal, and Iraq. A year ago, I described the sense of excitement within the bank about what we can bring to these economies. That is excitement I have now felt for myself on the ground as we make our first investment. We have got off to a flying start in our new region, just as we did 15 years ago in the southern and eastern Mediterranean. Our new member countries in Africa are very different from our Baltic host, with their own needs and own ambitions. But they are also innovating in a changing world. Their economies are reinventing themselves with our support by securing agricultural value chain, scaling digital services, and tackling the infrastructure gap. Of course, expanding to new markets and integrating new priorities impact our size and budget. But we are making sure that long-term sustainability and efficiency are at the very heart of our internal changes. Such are my thoughts on these turbulent times. I am a realist. I am under no illusion about the risk our world now faces and the scale of the challenges ahead. At the same time, I know that our amazing staff, the EBRD as a whole, and the countries where we work, have the talent and commitment to overcome crises. We will help our economies become more competitive and more sustainable. And our bank will grow stronger, more resilient, and more versatile, delivering now and for the future. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Board of Governors, may I thank President Renaud-Basso for her address. Thank you. And now a few housekeeping points. As a Board of Governors, we will reconvene tomorrow at 8:45 sharp at the National Museum of Art for the family photo and for all governors and heads of delegations. This will be followed by the plenary session starting promptly at 9 o'clock. I would kindly ask all participants to arrive on time to ensure a smooth start. With this, I declare the opening session closed, and I hand back to our Master of Ceremonies for the next part. Thank you.
So set your alarms early. I think now our speakers will leave the stage, if that's okay. Thank you very much, and we'll move on at the end of this institutional part of the event to our next session. We need quickly to move the furniture slightly again, so we'll very quickly do that, and we'll move on to the next conversation, which will be very quick to get going. Okay, so this is the conversation that we've promised with our special guest, and it picks up directly on the theme of this year's annual meeting, which is that how economies innovate and adapt in a changing world. And so we have microphones as well. Thank you. At the heart of that is how people and business manage their finances, invest, and plan ahead. So for this conversation, please welcome Her Majesty Queen Máxima of the Netherlands, the United Nations Secretary-General's Special Advocate for Financial Health. Please join us on the stage. Thank you. And she'll be joined by Milica Delević, the Secretary-General of the EBRD. Thank you. Milica, over to you.
Your Majesty, it is a true honor to welcome you to the EBRD annual meeting. I'm sorry, this was not foreseen. It is a true honor to welcome you and to have this conversation with you on the important issue of financial health, which also features prominently in the bank's work. As the UN Secretary General Special Advocate for Financial Health, you've been a leading voice for financial health and expanding economic opportunity. This has been amplified through your role as honorary chair of G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion. I would therefore like to start this conversation where previous speakers left it off, looking at precisely this global, bigger picture. We saw a very powerful video about the resilience of people in Ukraine and heard thoughtful reflections on challenges that policymakers and the people in the economies where we invest in face every day. And to overcome these challenges, they need to be resilient, to manage, to navigate uncertainty, manage crises, and even deal with conflict on a daily basis. Seen against this background, financial health is an important part of resilience. So let me start by asking you, what does financial health mean in practice, and why it is increasingly important in today's global context?
Well, first of all, let me tell you how glad I am to be here in Riga again after 24 years. Mr. President, thank you so much for your invitation, for having us here. Yes, financial health. I would like to recap a bit and tell you a little bit my story. Before I married my husband, I was a banker in New York, and before that in Argentina, my birth country. And I realized how hard it was for people to make ends meet. And I thought, you know, people have to have ways to save, ways to have credit, ways to insure themselves against the unforeseen. And then I realized for that, I need to give them accounts. Otherwise, I cannot really give them those savings and those safe savings and those insurance. So in 2007, my, I would say, journey to financial inclusion of access actually started. And back then, actually, the world financial inclusion data was something like under 50% of the world population did not have actually access. By now, we're about the 80%. So I think also, thanks to many people here present, including EBRD, there's been a great sort of success. Now, the issue is, I come back to my starting point. When I give all these people those accounts, do they become better off? Do they actually get those savings, that insurance that would actually help them out? Or do they actually become more over-indebted and actually find it even more difficult to make ends meet? So, what is financial health? Financial health, I define it into 4 points. First one is ability to make day-to-day finances meet. What do I mean by that? You know, you have an income on a monthly basis, you have expenses that actually sort of, you know, go changing. Can I actually budget those? Secondly, do I actually have some kind of liquidity that is going to help me actually make those ends meet on sometimes a small, affordable loan? Number two, can I actually have long-term goals? And when I talk about long-term goals, we talk about pensions. You know, will I be able to pay myself when I retire, when I cannot work anymore? What about a mortgage, asset building, any type of asset building, education of my children? Sometimes it's not about the monthly, but even a year is a long time for a lot of people. Number three, how are you resilient? And that's where your resilience. How am I, can I actually, in spite of a shock, I do not lose all my assets or my livelihood, and I can actually rebound myself quickly to be able to sort of, you know, rejoin my economic activity. And the fourth point is a more subjective one, but a very important one, because it's how confident are you in actually managing that financial life that you actually have. Why? Because it's very strongly linked to mental health and also physical health, and translates into high productivity. We know in the US, people actually lose 7 hours a week when they have financial stress. We know that people actually lose up to 13 points of their IQ when they have financial stress. So employers are actually very interested in this issue because they actually do see that when their employees are actually in trouble, they tend to actually be less productive and more, of course, busy with, you know, how am I going to basically pay my next bill. So just to put things, financial health is the outcome. Financial inclusion, having access, is a means to an end. Financial education is a means to an end. Financial services is a means to an end. So what I want to start thinking is, after all the work that we've actually done to actually get access to people, is how do we actually, with all that access we actually sort of made until now, and still efforts we have to keep educating people financially, how do we actually make them have the outcomes they want? Are we making them financially healthy? But why is this important? Well, it is important because if households are not healthy, they cannot send their kids to school. I've actually seen in Kenya, for example, when a family doesn't make ends meet, the first that actually happens is the girl doesn't go to school anymore. Or in case of, a big, drought, livelihoods are being sold, so there's no income in the future. And also there's no food production in the economy. So it's good for households. It's good for the economy because it's also good for stability, smooth consumption, But it's also good to actually start having savings, long-term savings, development of capital markets in a given country that will be actually translated into investing in that real economy. And it's also good for business. I've spoken to many banks, and in the long term, when you actually take care of your clients and you help them go through all those issues of, making them ends meet, offering them good products to actually sort of increase their wealth, etc. They've actually seen that, write-offs becomes much less, the churning of clients becomes much more, and you can actually start selling them other products that before were actually unthinkable of. So it also makes business sense for the business community. So it's basically turning that mindset of just access, just selling the product for actually the sake of selling a product, to actually say, what does actually product means to people. Just to give you an idea, when I was talking about financial inclusion in my country, the Netherlands, we have 99.9% of financial inclusion. I mean, everybody has access to financial services. But if we look at, of course, countries like Africa, that would be sort of 20%, increased to 60%, even 90% in some cases. But this issue of financial health is universal. In my country, the Netherlands, 20% of the population of the Netherlands is financially unhealthy. Another 25% is vulnerable. What do I mean? It's one accident away of actually becoming to this point. So this is a very, very relevant point all over the world.
Thank you very much. EBRD's mandate is anchored in private sector. The businesses we invest in are the primary engine of growth and opportunity as they create jobs on which household incomes and financial health and resilience ultimately depend. Working with partner financial institutions is also a critically important way of advancing a financial health agenda. Finally, we are supporting people to acquire skills to benefit from these new opportunities, to access services and build resilience to withstand shocks, which is what our gender equality and human capital strategy, approved only last week, is all about. So if you look from the global perspective, where you're coming from, what practical role can institutions such as EBRD, together with private sector and other policymakers, play in advancing financial health outcomes?
Well, you work with a lot of the financial service providers in all the countries that are actually are involved in. And I'm going to give you one example. In the Netherlands, we started something we call the National Coalition for Financial Health. It's not the only country that actually has it. We're going to start something similar in the UK next week. And there we actually have, of course, banks, but also employers. A bank like ING, when we started having these conversations, said to me, come on, we Dutch are world champions in savings. We have $600 billion in savings, sort of, altogether. So that cannot be the case. When they started measuring the financial health of their own clients, they realized that 1/5 or to 1/4 actually had no savings at all. And then a little bit more had very little savings, or at least not enough savings to actually go 3 months without an income. So then the journey started. How do I actually help these people to actually save more? And they started testing different things. And the extraordinary thing is, some things didn't work at all, things that we would actually think that would be quite obvious. And the thing that actually ended up sort of, working the most was actually putting 20% aside the moment that actually the income comes in. And then helping them with alerts saying, in the middle of the month, be careful, you could actually be going sort of outside of your... And that actually increased the amount of savings for people that, financially educated, but it became so hard for them to really save. And, to very, very good results. And we're seeing this across the board. Digitalization actually is allowing us to do all these little actions really possible in an affordable manner. And I think these are actually things that we can actually help all the banks in your countries that are actually operating to learn from these type of efforts and how to measure the financial health of your clients, what type of innovations you can actually sort of come up with. Also, same thing in insurance. There's been very little innovation in insurance, a lot of innovation in credit, a lot of innovation in payments we see at all the fintechs. But in terms of savings, in terms of insurance, there's a lot to go. So I think promoting those innovations would be extremely important. There's another issue. The employer is the number one point of touch financially for any person in any given country. And we've actually done a lot of work on the workplace savings in terms of, the moment that, an employer gets a saving, also help them put aside that money that could actually sort of, build that emergency savings. Without emergency savings, there's not going to be an effective pension system. Why? Because the fight to actually get those, to make those pension systems flexible, to be able to take off that money from the pension system, becomes a very big discussion. So we've actually come to the conclusion after a lot of studies that if we don't have some kind of emergency savings, we will not be able to build up a good pension system. And you also, at the same time, you have to be able to offer that pension system. So there's a very big role to play from the employer side. By the way, we're going to be launching this on the 16th of June in the UK. In the UK, 41% of the English people actually do not have £400 in case of an emergency. And this is a very big point because they do have a pension, but they're never going to reach, that's for, in 20 years' time was I cannot really make my ends meet today. So how do we help them to actually make those savings and actually have that emergency savings to actually make things happen? In your case, I've actually been looking at all your strategies. In terms of inclusion is fine as long as it's good. But if inclusion would have actually seen as the increase of inclusion has actually led to buy now, pay later schemes, or even more credits actually leading to over-indebtedness, I don't think that's the right inclusion that we want to have. You talk about resilience, which is evident in the case of financial health. You talked about green. And we've actually realized somebody that is actually financially stressed will not be able to invest in its home to actually make it to isolate it and reduce its energy consumption. It will not be able to actually look forward and try to see how solar panel could actually reduce their energy consumption. These are issues that we need to also time together with the transition in terms of climate change that we need to do as well.
Thank you. We are here together with our members, partners, donors, clients, friends. Therefore, I'd like to bring this conversation to a close by asking you to leave us a message. What would be things and actions which you think, taken together, us as a group could do to promote and take this agenda forward even more?
Well, first thing, like everything, what you don't know, you cannot manage. So first of all, measure. So we're starting to measure financial health on a national perspective, but also measure the financial health of your employees and measure the financial health of your customers. It's doable. A lot of companies are doing it, so we know there's just templates ready for us to copy and paste, I would say that. And then once you start doing that, start form coalitions. In terms of, we have national coalitions that we actually been able to have, from financial service providers, but also employers to actually start building these issues. And having conversations with regulators. For example, do we create a sandbox to innovate on saving products? Do we create sandbox for insurance or even small pension funds for informal workers? Because informality is also a very big issue that, in most of the countries we're actually present in, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, informality is a very big thing. But how we can actually give health insurance, even pensions, minimal pensions for them, or types of life insurance that would actually be very, very important. Where's the innovation there? So we need to innovate a lot more than we've actually done till now. And I think your role will be extremely important to actually catalyze those investments, talk to the public sector to make those innovations possible, and actually get the seed capital for companies to start doing that.
Your Majesty, thank you very much for this inspiring conversation, for your global leadership on this important subject, and most importantly, thank you for being with us today in Riga for this very important day in the EBRD. And please join me in thanking Queen Máxima.
Thank you so much.
Well, I think that might be a very useful prompt for some of the conversations that will be taking place over the next few days. So thank you again for that. Queen Máxima has to leave, I believe, as well as the President of Latvia. I think you both have to leave now. Could everybody else just please stay in their seats just while the party leaves, and then we'll continue on once that's done. So just thank you very much. Okay, you can now sit down. Thank you. So, before we close, we have some spectacular moments to enjoy together. And believe me, I've seen some of the preparations from the side there. This is going to be good. Our host country would like to give you a chance to experience a taste of Latvia's creativity and spirit. As I said earlier, after the performance, please join us for a reception outside and a chance to continue those conversations. But for now, please sit back and enjoy. Thank you.
This is a story about a tree, an apple tree.
And this is a story about us, Latvians.
We began as a seed.
From something ancient, from eternity.
Our strength lives in our roots, deep and unshakable.
Few nations hold their traditions so close. They are not just from our past. They live with us, even now, in the 21st century.
Our trunk is our values.
That, what connects the earth and the sky, the past and the future.
We blossom with music and art.
We blossom in our youth.
Our branches reach towards the sky. Our fruit and leaves spread across the earth.
Through culture, innovation, and science.
This is the story of Latvia.
Our DNA, our roots, and our growth.
Latvia is a tree.
A living organism, rooted in tradition and reaching to the future.
From seed
to harvest.
From the deep within the earth
to the endless skies far above.